Good afternoon.
Oh no, y'all know better than that. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
That's what I thought. All right, listen. If y'all made it through that walk, and that was a good walk, I tell you what, there were drums. I needed to pull out my old clarinet so we could have done it right. But those are my marching days. Those days are behind me, so that wasn't today's event. But I want to thank y'all for taking the time to come out today, and I want to remember our friends and family who Saturday is not a day off. Y'all know you got people that wanted to be here, but there's some boss that called them a place they gotta be. So we want to thank those who wanted to be here, but for some reason could not. I want to thank Executive Director Waits, Associate Director Diane Morning Brown for putting together this unbelievable event and set of opportunities. Listen, I'll tell you what, after that first song, after the second song, after Dr. Gomez Chavez, and after Mayor Keller, we just need to pass the collection plate and pack this thing up, give the benediction. But if y'all don't mind, we're going to stay just a little bit longer. And let me tell you a few things I've been thinking about. This year, 2018, will mark the 50th year since Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. And it got me thinking, right? 50 years. And on this day, 50 years ago, Dr. King did not know he would only live 2 more months, 3 more weeks, and 3 more days. That's something kind of deep, right? That he would have less than 3 months from this time 50 years ago. And the accounts go that he spent his last birthday working. Oh, we're gonna come back to that. Y'all don't forget that. He spent his last birthday working. I know some of y'all take 2 or 3 days off when it's your birthday. He was in the basement at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, wearing blue jeans and a windbreaker, working with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, made up of blacks from the Deep South, whites from Appalachia, Jewish allies from New York, Latino farm worker organizers, to plan what would be his last campaign, the Poor People's March to the United States Capitol. That was Dr. King's last birthday. But I want to take y'all back to another year. I need y'all to come with me to 1994. And we're going to go somewhere with this, so y'all got to stay with me. 1994. Who remembers that? That was a good year, I'll tell you what. Listen, in 1994, we had these things, young folks, called a disc man. Y'all know what a disc man is? You got these pile of CDs, and you put them in this disc man, but you can't hold it sideways because then your CD will scratch and skip. So you have to hold it upright, and you were so cool. That's what we did in 94. The Lion King had just come out, and grown men were going to see Simba make his life choices. The King of Pop had just married the daughter of the king. Lord, how the year, I still miss Michael. Y'all pray for Michael's family. We had 60 channels if you had cable TV. And there was a strange day in June where we were watching Game 5 of the NBA Finals between the Houston Rockets and the New York Knicks. And all of a sudden they cut out the game because there was this white Bronco going down the LA 405. We didn't know what was going on. Listen, in college, I wore this t-shirt that said, "Free OJ, find the real killer," and it had an 800 number on the back. Somebody told my mom, she called me about that. And somewhere, at somebody's wedding, somebody's bar mitzvah, somebody's quinceañera, somebody's sweet 16, we were rocking the Cotton Eye Joe and the Tootsie Roll. That was 1994. And in Albuquerque, in this beautiful city made up of artists and entrepreneurs and scientists and scholars and cowboys and bikers, then Mayor Martin Chavez decided to rename and repurpose this space from downtown to the university and name it the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue.
That's right.
That's 1994 in Albuquerque. And that was about 24 years ago, 25 years ago, and we like to think things have changed, right? We're not rocking Discmans anymore. Now you just got the songs coming out the air. King of Pop's still on the radio. We now have 8,000 channels. But the more things change, it seems like the more things have stayed the same. The more we've had more ways to connect us, the further apart we seem to be. You can tell Alexa to order you some macaroni, but we have yet to learn how to ask our neighbor if they need help. The mighty Mos Def declared that $69 billion in the last 20 years spent on national defense, but folks still live in fear. We have self-driving cars, but we're driving this country to ruin. Our doctors can diagnose patients around the world, but we can't see the real sickness because this thing that's happening in the United States is a soul matter. There's something corrupt that has happened to us as a people. We have lost our way. But Dr. King taught us and encouraged us to never give up hope, to continue to strive, to continue to press toward the mark, to continually push against the unmovable forces that are around us. So I want y'all to start by remembering what mattered to him. What he told us is if we go forward, we must go back and rediscover those precious values, those all reality hinges on a moral foundation, and that all reality has spiritual control. That's what Dr. King told us. He spent the time in his Nobel Prize saying, I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity and equality and freedom for their spirits. He encouraged us to think about what kind of people we are. Who are we? Well, he told us that as a nation, we're going to have to undergo a radical revolution of values. When machines and computers, profit motives, and property rights are considered more important than people, the giant triplets of racism, extreme materialism, and militarism are incapable of being conquered. That's what Dr. King told us about those 3 triplets. About institutional racism, which is at root in the heart of many of the decisions that are being made in our society today. About extreme materialism, which is happening in our governments, in our businesses, in our corporations, on our universities that prefer profit over people. About militarism in the United States, which is based on government decisions to exercise political and economic power through the use of all forms of violence, whether it's drones or mass incarceration or surveillance. Dr. King encouraged us to start being purposeful about what we're about. So after you remember what mattered to him, I want you to reflect on his life and how he chose to spend his time, his money, and his resources. We got to learn to prioritize. Listen, Dr. King spent his honeymoon at a funeral parlor. Reverend Smith, sure he would have come by your way. Because listen what happened, right? He had a friend who happened to own one, and he gave him a hookup. Listen, if he didn't go to Cancun, and he didn't go to San Juan, and he didn't go to Puerto Rico, but he went to the funeral parlor down the street, where are you spending your money? Where are you spending your resources as they come? When he was 35 and won the Nobel Peace Prize, and he was awarded $54,000, he didn't take a penny of it. He turned it right back over to the causes that he fought for. So what are you doing? Where's your money going? Did you put that dollar in the slot? Did you put that dollar in the collection plate? Did you try to make a difference economically in the spaces around you? But it's not just money, right? Where are you spending your time? What's the last show you binged on Netflix, but you have yet to read something with just as much time and energy and passion? I'm just telling y'all the truth. Listen, here's the truth. I haven't missed a single episode of Empire yet. And Game of Thrones, listen, I'm team Jon Snow, like die or ride or die. Jon Snow's my boy. But I tell you what, we got to make choices better about our times. Here's what I want y'all to think about. If it doesn't educate our children, if it doesn't move our economy, if it doesn't lift our political participation, cut it off. Cut it off. Make your choices now. Dr. King told us we must use time creatively and in the knowledge that time is always ripe to do what's right, because there's room for more than one way to serve. Listen, you do it your way. You don't have to serve in my way. You shouldn't be in my space, and I shouldn't be in yours. We got a lot to do in a lot of spaces that's going to require all of us. And there's deeper things that Dr. King, by creating a coalition of people that loved and cared, learned that we got to do it by taking care of each other. That's the only way we're going to move this thing, right? Gwendolyn Brooks will write that we are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. We got to take better care of each other, brothers and sisters, in order to move what we're trying to do. And after you remember Dr. King and reflected on his ways, now it's time to represent. It's time to act. It's time to go out and do what you know has to be done. We're here to celebrate his birth, and we're going to spend the year reflecting on his passing, but we got to learn how to live his legacy. I'll tell you the truth, I'm half Southern, Spring Hill, Louisiana. That's where my daddy's from. And I'm half Panamanian. My mother came on a boat passing right by Lady Liberty. Both of them in this country, one growing up in the segregated South, one growing up in the segregated North, would go on to earn 4 advanced degrees. That's the kind of country this is. And after all that, I'm half Panamanian, I'm half Southern, but I'm 100% Jersey. And as a Jersey girl, it is required of us to tell y'all like it is. Sorry, it's in the Constitution, it's part of our high school degree, I just gotta give it to y'all. Here's the truth. It is time, brothers and sisters, to do some big things. It is time to start to move this thing forward. The the UN Higher Commission on Refugees has declared that at the end of 2016, 1 in 113 people on this planet is a refugee. 1 in 113. The World Health Organization and UNICEF has declared that 1 in 10 humans on this planet lacks access to clean drinking water. The National Cancer Institute declares that 1 in 8 American women will get breast cancer in her lifetime. 2.3 American citizens are incarcerated in the United States today, and a fifth of them are in federal prisons for nonviolent drug offenses. Parts of Puerto Rico today still don't have power. We have abandoned uranium mines that are poisoning the water on tribal lands right here in New Mexico. Mayor Cal, I'm gonna tell you the truth, but right now in this crowd, somebody here is gonna fix that bus. This is where the solution's sitting, right? We got stuff to do. We got work that needs to be done, and it is in your space. This isn't a far-off thing. You don't need a different set of degrees, and you don't need different sets of skills. You already got what you need to go and make the difference that it's time to do. Black or white, young or old, it doesn't matter. So it's time to move forward, because here's the truth. While you're waiting for change, someone's watching you right now for direction.
Sad.
Someone's trying to decide where do we go, and they're looking to you for where we're leading. So I'm gonna tell y'all, don't get caught up in this foolishness. Don't get caught up in the foolishness. That's what they want. They want you furiously responding to foolish tweets. They want you looking at a man who's gonna look at a solar eclipse, look directly at the sun. And while y'all watching all that, you're not paying attention to what's actually happening. You're not watching the changes that are coming through the judiciary across the country. You're not fighting against the moves to ban books in our prisons. You're not fighting for the Special Olympics in New Mexico losing a third of their funding. You're not fighting at the attempts that they did to try and defund middle school sports. You're not fighting at the attempts to limit access to health care. Don't get caught up in the foolishness. That's what they want you to do. Now, here's that Jersey again. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. Why y'all acting like this is the first time we've had leadership in the White House that has not worked in the best interests of the people? I'm not sure where that kind of came through. Y'all act like this is something new. Why y'all acting like this is the first time the leadership in our corporations have mistreated their employees? Why are you acting like this is the first time that they put this foolishness in our place? And I'm telling you what, Dr. King has encouraged us to go out and change someone else's journey. He wasn't perfect. He walked the same streets as you and I. He had family and heartache and times when he felt utterly all alone. But Dr. King kept going. He kept his sense of purpose. Listen, there's this line from the Star Wars Last Jedi movie. Don't tell my kids we snuck out and saw it without them. But there's this, spoiler alert, it gets kind of hairy at the end. That's all I'm gonna tell y'all. But there's this line where the young lady says to one of the young men, we're gonna win not by fighting what we hate, but saving what we love. Right? And to be able to understand that doing it their way is never going to work. It never has. And it never will. So we've got to be about standing up for justice. In our classrooms, in our courtrooms, in our boardrooms, in the fields and in the factory and on the farms, in our labs, in a police cruiser, on the ranch, on the front line or online, behind the scenes, at the club, I don't care where you are. It is time to stand up for justice, because if you're not fighting for justice, injustice will creep in. Dr. King tells us to take that first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. The Clark sisters told us, I'm looking for a miracle. I expect the impossible. Kendrick Lamar told us, I'm messed up, homie, you messed up, but if God got us, then we're gonna be all right.
Well.
And I believe that. I believe that what they mean for evil, God meant for good.
Well,
I believe that 50 years ago when they killed Dr. King, and it was a they, because it wasn't one man who pulled the trigger, but it was a society that was built to make that happen. And I believe that when that occurred, it was meant for evil, but God knew that 50 years later we would be in this place at this time for this purpose to bring about some real change in the city of Albuquerque. I believe that. So while they thought they were killing him, they thought they were going to be able to stop a dream. They were going to take their country back. They were going to make America great again. But Dr. King and Mrs. Coretta Scott King put their lives on the line for such a time as this. For this time and space. And just because Dr. King had a dream didn't mean he was asleep. He stayed woke, man. And I'm not going to come here and tell y'all to get to work. You're already in this place. But I want to encourage you, by the hard work of Dr. King and his choices, to be encouraged in the work that you already have set out for you. So here's the truth. If he can work on his birthday, so can you. Figure out what you're going to do, where you're going to serve, what your process is going to be. Dr. King said, if you can't fly, then run. And if you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you can do, keep moving forward. That's the theme for this year with the Martin Luther King Commission. 50 forward. Because when they tell you, when they make it hard to work, I want you to keep working. And when they make voting hard, I want you to keep voting. And when they work to divide us, I want you to keep working together. And when they work to shut you up, I want you to keep speaking up. Ladies and gentlemen, the time is always right for us to do what's right. Now is the day. Now is the time. Dios lo bendiga, Albuquerque. God bless the United States of America.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Dr. Rankin.
Sonia Gipson Rankin.
Whoa, 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 whoa.